On our broadcast from Washington tonight, taking action, a big first full day on the job for the new president, the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama. Spreading danger, a major food safety scare, now a growing recall after hundreds of people get sick across the country, and facts are hard to find. Clearing the air tonight, what we found out about where people are living longer because they've cleaned up what they breathe. And getting to know you, not just a new president, but also a new first family. Getting to know their new digs as America gets to know them. Nightly News begins now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams, reporting tonight from Washington.
Good evening. For the first time in his adult life, Barack Obama woke up and went to the office without ever leaving the house. The photos released by the White House today may take some getting used to. There's a new president in the Oval Office, and perhaps you remember all the times during the campaign when the candidates talked about what they'd do on day one. Well, this was day one for the Obama administration. First full day in office. After one night of celebration on the town, there's so much work to do. We begin our coverage tonight with our chief White House correspondent, Chuck Todd. Chuck, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Well, actually, today was just a typical day for a president of the United States, except for the whole fact that for Barack Obama, this was his first day on the job.
Hello, everybody.
Barack Obama got a taste of presidential multitasking in his first full day in office.
Please, be seated. Still getting used to that whole thing.
That was the president welcoming his White House staff, playing the role of CEO.
They're very nice things.
The president signed his first executive freezing staff pay raises and imposing a ban on former staffers from ever lobbying his White House. Another executive order awaits his signature as early as tomorrow, reversing a Bush administration policy to hold terror suspects and accused enemy combatants at a prison in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and halting military commission trials. A new approach may take as long as a year. He's got the whole world in his hands. The president's day began as he sought guidance from a higher authority, getting a sense of what it is to offer the country spiritual leadership at Washington's National Cathedral for the traditional National Prayer Service.
Welcome. Enjoy yourselves. We're all ready. Don't break anything.
Then later, it was the president as keeper of the People's House. The first couple also assumed the task of serving as cultural role models. Polling up with his economic team, the president drew more criticism from Republicans today, thanks to a new report claiming the stimulus will take years, not months, to the economy.
When it comes to slow-moving government spending programs, it's clear that doesn't create the jobs or preserve the jobs that need to happen.
Obama took on the title Leader of the Free World, making his first phone calls to foreign leaders, all key players in the Israeli-Gaza conflict. Also today, the new president exerted his role as commander-in-chief, summoning his Secretary of Defense, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and General David Petraeus, the head of Central Command, setting out to fulfill one of his major campaign promises, bringing troops home from Iraq in 16 months. Now, Brian, there's been plenty of first-day hiccups. One of the deputy White House press secretary to ask a member of the press to email a pull report because he didn't realize he had already sent it out. Others have been trying to figure out which gate they go into, but for the most part, it's actually been fairly smooth. None of those staffers randomly looking for the men's room. Brian?
All right, Chuck Todd on the North Lawn tonight. The president also made it clear today he's not going to go along with that Bush administration policy of jackets only for men in the Oval Office. While many of the president's cabinet secretaries have now been sworn in, there's a big exception. During what's been described as our economic emergency in this country, there is no Treasury Secretary. Tim Geithner was nominated by President Obama, but the man who would be in charge of our tax revenues has a tax problem of his own, and he was getting grilled for it today here on Capitol Hill. Our own Kelly O'Donnell joins us tonight from across the way. Kelly, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. There's plenty of praise for Geithner's qualifications to run Treasury, but his tax problem is another matter. He's paid up about $40,000, but given his expertise, one senator said this shouldn't be swept under the rug.
All the predictions are Tim Geithner will get the job as Treasury Secretary, so the welcome today was warm. But the grilling got hot.
Would you answer my question rather than dancing around it, please?
Geithner's failure to pay some taxes ignited the most contentious exchanges. But first, Geithner was here to pledge he could do a better job fixing the economy.
It will require action on a scale we have not seen in generations.
A core message, he gets how bad it is.
Individuals, families, and businesses that were careful and responsible were damaged by the actions of those who were not.
Few specifics, but a broad plan to invest huge amounts of taxpayer money to jumpstart the economy. Repeatedly, senators stressed that the public is fed up.
How we can assure taxpayers that their interests are taken care of.
Geithner laid out the goals: get credit flowing, save the housing market, and restore confidence in the overall financial system. Questioned about bailed-out banks refusing to lend or account for money they were given, Geithner transparency.
I will work very hard with the responsible regulators in the United States and around the world so that we have a set of accounting requirements and disclosure requirements.
His personal accounting problems drew the most fire.
These were careless mistakes.
He repeatedly apologized for having failed to pay several years of Social Security taxes. Senators called it negligent and deeply problematic, and noted that Geithner acknowledged he had been told by his employer he needed to pay those taxes separately.
It is incomprehensible to me that you didn't immediately realize that you had done it wrong for the entire time that you had been at the IMF.
And I regret not having done so.
Yeah.
This is my mistake and it's my responsibility.
And Brian, there's news on two other prominent cabinet members. Hillary Clinton was confirmed and sworn in today as Secretary of State. But there's a new delay from Republicans about the president's choice for Attorney General Eric Holder. Now it seems the earliest he could be confirmed is next week. Brian?
Kelly behind us here on Capitol Hill. Kelly, thanks. And now we go north to Wall Street, where stocks were up sharply across the board, gaining back much of what was lost in yesterday's plunge. That drop yesterday was triggered by fresh evidence that this nation's banks are in trouble. Steve Leisman is with us tonight from CNBC. Steve, simple question. How much trouble, and what about these folks who fear they're going to be nationalized in effect?
Brian, we're in the middle of what we've been talking about for quite a while, which is the credit spiral, where the problems in the financials created problems in the economy, which are now ricocheting back on the financials. We are deep in the middle of this spiral. What's being argued by government officials is that they have stopped the steep decline of this spiral, but they have not stopped it from happening. And that's why you hear Tim Geithner on the Hill today talking about a very substantial package, not just a stimulus package for regular Americans, but another huge injection into the banking system where they may actually go and buy some of these banks. If I had to guess, I would say the inclination of the Obama administration is not to nationalize, to do everything they can short of that, but they are not ruling that out when it comes to some of the biggest banks. That is a distinct possibility.
All it takes is money. Steve, along with you, will stay on this story. Thanks, Steve Leisman from CNBC Global Headquarters tonight. An update tonight on the health of Massachusetts Democratic Senator Ted Kennedy, who's been battling brain cancer. We're told he's resting comfortably at home today after yesterday's scare on Capitol Hill. As you'll recall, Kennedy collapsed during the inaugural luncheon, suffering an apparent seizure. He was rushed to the hospital. President Obama called to check on him last night. Today, he underwent more tests at the National Institutes of Health. He's back home now, calling friends, reassuring him that he's feeling better. As Chuck Todd reported earlier from the White House, the president was working the phones today on the Middle East, keeping a lid on after that 3-week war in Gaza. That's a top priority for the new administration. Our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, reports on where things in Gaza tonight now that those guns are silent.
As the last of Israel's soldiers pulled out of Gaza today, this is what they left behind. After an intense 3-week assault, 1,300 dead, 5,000 wounded, 4,000 buildings and 200 tunnels destroyed. Destroying the tunnels Hamas used to import rockets was one of Israel's main objectives. But it's unclear if the political reality has changed in Gaza and if Hamas is any weaker. As we filmed near the Egyptian border today, we were surprised to find smugglers openly rebuilding the tunnels. Tools in hand, 18-year-old Mahmoud showed us his tunnel, barely hidden under a tarp. Everyone here is working just as before, he said. We need the money. Mostly it's boys like Mahmoud who earn $200 a day digging. It's a long way down, 18 yards deep, connected to a shaft 3 feet high, 3 feet wide. It once ran 170 yards to Egypt. Now it's mostly collapsed.
It's extraordinarily claustrophobic down here. A lot of this tunnel remains. It's reinforced with wood. They've already started digging it again, and the people digging these tunnels say they expect to have them up and running in about a week.
Mahmoud said he doesn't care what goes through his tunnels, rockets, food, or gasoline. Tunnels are good business and can earn their owners $4,000 a day. Hamas has vowed to use the tunnels to restock its weapons supply. Israel today threatened to invade Gaza again if it does. Richard Engel, NBC News, Rafah.
Covering America tonight, bad news for GM, no longer the world's largest automaker, displaced by Toyota, we learned, in total sales from last year. And divers in the Hudson River have located the missing engine, U.S. Airways jet flight 1549. The other engine, by the way, showed signs of a midair bird strike. When our broadcast continues from Capitol Hill, why was the government so slow to respond to the latest food safety scare in this country? And later, the first 24 hours for the dazzling new first family.
Have you heard the news about Zyrtec? It's fast relief for people with indoor allergies, with outdoor allergies, or people like me who have both.
Zyrtec is fast. In fact, it starts working 2 hours faster than Claritin. It's clinically proven to relieve even your worst allergy symptoms.
From dust mites and pet dander to ragweed and pollen for a full 24 hours. Now I'm freer to do what I want, where I want, even faster.
Zyrtec, the fastest 24-hour allergy relief.
Why use a basic cleanser that stops there? Olay skin-loving cleansers do more. Nourish and purify and cleanse, even anti-aging cleansers. Why just cleanse? Do more for your skin with Olay cleansers.
In the islands, tropical flavors bring out the best in fresh seafood. At Red Lobster, we're bringing new island-inspired entrees to you, like tender wood-grilled Caribbean rock lobster and shrimp, brushed with a sweet and spicy glaze. New Hawaiian Isle shrimp and salmon, and new wood-grilled citrus rum shrimp and scallops, flame-seared to seal in the juices. Wood grilling and the flavors of the islands, a whole new way to love seafood. For a limited time at Red Lobster.
I'm Mark Goldston, Chairman and CEO of Net Zero. Here's a plan for America's broadband users to save $16 billion a year and $300 individually. Switch to Net Zero dial-up at $9.95 per month. Call 1-800-NET-ZERO or go to netzero.com.
Sooner or later, you and your gray hair will face an identity crisis.
My hair says experience. My hair says energy.
Touch of gray, the best of both. Combs away a little gray without getting rid of it all. Never too much, just right.
Now I look like I know what I'm doing and can still do it. Hey, guy, get your heads together.
Touch of gray, the best of both.
Friday, a young woman becomes a police informant and ends up dead.
She cried out for help, and nobody was there to hear.
Now her family wants answers. Where were the police when the bus went bad?
We were outraged. They didn't tell us anything.
All new Dateline, Friday, 10/9 Central on NBC.
An NSA whistleblower gives Keith explosive new info about the Bush White House and wiretapping. Countdown with Keith Olbermann, tonight only on MSNBC.
We're back and now to the salmonella outbreak linked to peanut products. Nearly 5 people in 43 states have fallen ill from it. 100 products have been recalled. There's no end in sight to this, and a lot of questions now about the government's handling of food safety. We get more from our chief science correspondent, Robert Bazell.
It may end up as one of the largest food recalls in U.S. history, scaring many parents.
We've got rid of all the peanut butter.
And some public health experts are outraged at how the investigation has been carried out.
This has been another broken outbreak investigation. It's one that has taken far too long, with not nearly enough clarity as to what the food items are that are at risk and explaining why it happened.
On January 8th, the Centers for Disease Control first announced an outbreak of a certain strain of salmonella of unknown origin, which had sickened 388 people in 42 states. On January 9th, the Minnesota Department of Health said it found that same salmonella strain in a large opened vat of peanut butter at a nursing home where 3 people had been sick. It was not until January 14th that the federal government identified the source, peanut butter and concentrated paste from this plant in Georgia. Why so long?
There's a lot of information that is both helpful and confusing in any one of these outbreak investigations. And trying to pin down the source of the food that was the cause of the outbreak is oftentimes very difficult.
According to the government, the peanut products from the plant did not end up in the jars of peanut butter that consumers buy at their local grocery, but were found in large containers used in schools, nursing homes, and hospitals. But the contaminated peanut products could have made their way into hundreds of brands of peanut butter-flavored cookies, candies, power bars, packaged crackers, cereals, ice creams, even treats for pets. Today, on the eve of their 2009 sales campaign, the Girl Scouts of America posted a website saying their well-known cookies are not affected. What should consumers do? Government officials say they are basically on their own. They can check the FDA's website. We have a link at nightly.msnbc.com for a list of recalled products. As for other products, officials say people should contact the manufacturer, but emphasize the government cannot guarantee the accuracy of that information. Brian?
Bob, you were right. It is a mess. Robert Bazell from our New York studios tonight. Bob, thanks. When our broadcast continues in just a moment, there is new proof that efforts to clear the air, well, they actually work.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
Need help navigating your way to retirement? Roll over your 401k into a Fidelity IRA. We'll guide you through the paperwork and help choose the investments that are. Contact a rollover specialist today. In times like these, we'll help you find your way. Call 1-800-FIDELITY or visit fidelity.com today.
We all have internal plumbing, but for some of us, it can be a problem. You know, frequent, sudden bladder urges. You worry your pipes might leak, so it's hard to always do things spur of the moment. If you've had enough, talk to your doctor about taking care with Vesicare. Vesicare once a day can help control your bladder muscles so it can help reduce urges and leaks day and night. If you have certain stomach problems, glaucoma, or trouble emptying your bladder, do not take Vesicare. Tell your doctor right away if you have a serious allergic reaction, severe abdominal pain, or become constipated for 3 or more days. Vesicare may cause blurred vision, so take care while driving or doing unsafe tasks. Common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, indigestion, fewer urges and leaks. The chance to be more spontaneous. Vesicare can make a difference. Ask your doctor today about taking care with Vesicare.
The new CVS.com from CVS Pharmacy is the easiest and most convenient way to manage your prescriptions. Just log on to CVS.com. You can view your prescription history, order refills, and then choose a pickup location. You can also check the status of your prescriptions, and we can remind you when you need your next refill. The new CVS.com from CVS Pharmacy is just another way we're helping you care for yourself and your family. CVS Pharmacy, for all the ways you care.
Burning, itching. I should have used Preparation H.
And for extra relief, use Preparation H medicated wipes first. Unlike most ordinary wipes, they relieve while you clean. Then use maximum strength cream. Preparation H, the relief expert.
Mom knew I needed calcium day one. Now I'm the mom, and I know 80% of us don't get enough calcium from food. Our bodies can steal it from our bones. Give yourself some TLC, Tender Loving Caltrate, and give TLC to somebody you love.
Tomorrow, Malia and Sasha Obama. What's it like when your dad is the President of the United States? Tomorrow on Today on NBC.
We are back tonight with our in-depth report tonight on health and the environment. There's been a concerted effort in recent years, as you know, to cut air pollution. There's evidence now that it's paying off. A new study shows what should be obvious, but hasn't always been a priority in America. Breathing cleaner air makes people live longer. More tonight from our Chief Environmental Affairs correspondent, Ann Thompson.
Take a deep breath, America. The air is cleaner, and that's helping you live longer. A new study in today's New England Journal of Medicine says life expectancy in 2.7 years since the late 70s. 5 months of that jump attributed to decreased air pollution, reducing the amount of very fine particles spewed from tailpipes and smokestacks that are so small they can get past the body's natural filters and do harm.
It indicates that our public policy efforts to control air pollution are paying off.
The study looked at 51 cities across the country. Some with the worst reputations for pollution are breathing easier and living longer. Cleaner air increased life expectancy in Pittsburgh and Buffalo by 10 months, 8.5 months in El Paso. Even cities with cleaner air to start with saw modest increases. Tampa up a month, Denver a little less than a month. None of the 51 cities saw a decrease in life expectancy. The good news does not mean the work to clean up our air is over. The study's authors say there is plenty more to be done because those fine particles that remain still can damage your heart and lungs. Environmentalists called the study significant, saying it only adds to the argument for investing in clean energy.
Clean energy means avoiding the combustion of fossil fuels, and that will reduce both greenhouse gas emissions and the emissions of fine particles, other toxics that make air pollution worse today.
Proving that when it comes to air pollution and health, less is truly more. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
When we come back tonight, everybody's talking about the new neighbors who just moved in 1.5 miles from this very spot.
If your auto policy could talk, what would it tell you?
I'm the celebrity auto policy. The policy that you got because of my famous name. I know I look good. Off the record, I offer the same coverage. I advertise more. I cost more, too. But you love me. You really love me.
Paying too much for a famous name auto policy? Switch to 21st Century Insurance. We cross-check 21 unique personal factors so you can save hundreds on coverage that's just right for you. 21st Century Insurance. Just right, just for you.
Serious sore throat sufferers know there's nothing stronger than Cepacol to stop sore throat pain seriously fast.
I do!
In lozenge or spray, Cepacol stops pain fast.
Are you like me? I have high blood pressure and I have high cholesterol.
But he treats both with one pill.
Catawit makes it easier to manage my two conditions. Catawit contains 2 proven medicines, one for lowering high blood pressure, the other for lowering high cholesterol, combined in one pill. Catawit. That works for me.
Catawit is one of many treatment options, in addition to diet and exercise that he discussed with his doctor.
Catawit is not for everyone. It's not for people with problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. To check for liver problems, you need simple blood tests. Tell your doctor about any heart problems and all other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Along with diet and exercise, Catawit effectively lowers both high blood pressure and high cholesterol. 2 medicines, 1 pill. Ask your doctor if Catawit is right for you.
Help seal out tough food particles. Fix it and control with Food Seal. Enjoy all the foods you love.
We ask you how you like your steak. You said you like it tender and juicy and grilled over an open flame. Introducing the Applebee's Signature Sirloin, America's best-selling steak, now just $9.90 for a limited time. What's that? You say you could use a night out? Well, say hello to the ultimate neighborhood value. The $9.99 steak dinner, only at Applebee's. This really is a whole new neighborhood.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are going back to the Super Bowl. The Cardinals have shocked the world.
Super Bowl 43, only on NBC. A Sunday morning legacy of more than 60 years. Now, David Gregory begins the next great chapter. If it's Sunday, it's still Meet the Press.
You may remember newspapers with their banner headlines from the day after Election Day became valuable collector's items instantly. Well, that same thing happened today following the inauguration with brisk early morning business in some spots. The folks who run one newsstand in Studio City, California, told us they sold more papers today than all of last year. There is intense interest, and not just in the new president, but in the new first family. They made what was described as a dazzling debut yesterday, and no one would blame them for being a bit dazzled by their new life and surroundings. If it was overwhelming for them, they didn't really look it. 7-year-old Sasha, so happy to be holding hands with her dad, positively bounced across the walkway at the White House yesterday. Our report on the new first family tonight from NBC's Savannah Guthrie.
They made quite an entrance on their first night as first couple.
How good looking is my wife?
A first dance serenade by the singer Beyonce, then 9 more inaugural balls by night's end. Tired from their long day in the cold, the Obama girls opted for a quiet night at home, surrounded by cousins and friends.
The White House staff organized a scavenger hunt for the two girls to teach them some history of their new home. And it ended with a big surprise. The teen pop sensation, the Jonas Brothers, were there to greet them.
But it's the first family that's really causing a sensation. The website for retailer J. Crew crashed after news got out. That's who designed the Obama girls' inaugural outfits. Michelle Obama made instant stars of her dressmakers.
Like Jason, you are now a part of history. That is so magical. I can't tell you.
But the Obamas are doing more than setting trends, they're reflecting them. More than ever before, American families are mixed by race, faith, nationality. This new first extended family encompasses all those trends at once. From Obama's Kenyan relatives, his sister's Indonesian family, Michelle Obama's heritage in the American South.
It's diverse racially, it's diverse nationally, it crosses class boundaries, religious boundaries, it encompasses a number of contemporary trends of different kinds of family structure.
The kind of diversity Obama spoke of in his inaugural as a collective American virtue.
For we know that our patchwork heritage is a strength, not a weakness.
And for the first family, one that is deeply personal. Savannah Guthrie, NBC News, the White House.
And during yesterday's otherwise smooth swearing in, there was one moment when no one watching at first knew quite what was going on. It happened during the oath of office when Chief Justice John Roberts of the U.S. Supreme Court recited the oath without notes. He decided to wing it, and he got it wrong. President Obama, who's a former law professor himself, corrected him, but it still wasn't said the right way. If there was any tension between the two men in the air, it could have been because Obama voted against Roberts' confirmation for the job. Now, fast forward today when Vice President Biden was preparing to read the oath of office to swear in members of the senior White House staff, he couldn't resist a dig at the Chief Justice.
My memory is not as good as Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts. Does anyone have the... No,
You will note the president pointedly kept a straight face throughout. There was some speculation today because they got the oath wrong yesterday. President Obama somehow isn't legally president and should take the oath again to be sure. But constitutional experts say that's just wrong. Most agree constitutionally, under the 20th Amendment, he became president yesterday at the stroke of noon. That is our broadcast for this Wednesday night. Thanks for being with us. I'm Brian Williams reporting tonight from Washington and on our way back to New York, where we hope to see you tomorrow night. Good night.
NBC presents the inauguration of Barack Obama. Get your ticket to history. Pre-order this commemorative DVD at NBC.
Next, what made Beyonce cry after her serenade and what Barack whispered to Michelle. Then, how much Michelle's gown cost. Plus, Tom Cruise's message to hero pilot Sully.
Tomorrow morning on NBC 30 News.
Could acupuncture relieve horrible tension headaches? NBC 30 finds out if this ancient Eastern practice could be a modern-day solution to solve your ills. That's tomorrow morning starting at 5 a.m. See you then.
NBC 30 News, weeknights at 5, 6, and 11. Connecticut's news leader.
Find the boat of your dreams at the 40th Annual CMTA Hartford Boat and Fishing Show. Cruise over to the Connecticut Convention Center January 22nd to the 25th and see the area's best collection of boats. Affordable boats, personal watercraft, center consoles, fishing boats, great cruisers, and many free seminars.
It's going up, 500,000 jobs lost a month, and the stock market trending down until today. It went back up a bit today. Will that $800 billion stimulus package be enough?